Well, hello friends. So glad you're here with me today in the downstairs kitchen where we're going to do something with dairy today. That's right. We're going to do something with all of this goat's milk. Those of you who are new to my channel may not know that I have dairy goats and dairy cows, and I put my goat's milk in quart-sized jars when I milk, and my half-gallon jars are my cow's milk. And sometimes I don't use or sell all my milk within the first few days, and it's a personal preference, I know. But goat's milk for me, I like to drink it within probably 3, maybe 5 days. Once it gets to that point, then I like to start making cheese with it. And after a couple weeks, that's when I start making soap with it. And we are within that 1 week, 10-day or less period here. And so we're going to make some cheese. And if you've been around, so glad to see you back here again. And you might remember that I tend to do milk or cheese in large quantities. I rarely ever make less than a 4-gallon batch of cheese anymore. It's just, I figure if I'm going through the work, I might as well make more, because this family, we like cheese. And I also like to share it with others. I've had some really fun times. A couple of years ago, I got busy, and every single week for pretty much the whole summer, I tried making different kinds of cheeses. And then that winter, after they'd all had a chance to age, because I made soft cheeses, I made semi-soft cheeses, and I made some hard cheeses. And did you know, by the way, Parmesan, one of the hardest cheeses that I have made, actually the hardest cheese I've ever made, it takes like 2 years, 18 months to 2 years to age. So yeah, cheese is not necessarily a fast product. It can be, depending on what kind of cheese you make. So don't go into this thinking, oh, I can make cheddar and have it tonight for supper. No, usually those kind of harder cheeses that you would grate or slice, they need a little time to age. Sometimes it's days, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's months, and sometimes it's years. So today we are making a soft cheese. I have made Chev before, which is a soft cheese that is spreadable. And I've tried the Chev culture, and I need to try it again, just it. But I just wasn't so very impressed with it at all. And I just thought, I like my version of Chev, which I will try to bring to you sometime, hopefully soon. I just didn't want to tackle that one today, because this one is actually one that can last a little bit longer. And so I thought, and I wanted to do something different. I'm not going to tell you my secrets of that, because I might actually get a video done on my way of making fresh Chev without any cultures. So I don't want to spoil that for you. So today I'm taking 4 gallons of the goat's milk, and we're going to make a soft cheese. But I don't have the culture that they require for this. And so we are going to sub out and hope for the best. But I wanted to go ahead and introduce myself, start out this video, and show you all that milk before I got it dumped in here. And if you haven't watched any of my cheese making videos, you might notice I do scrape the inside of all of my jars, because that's where the fat sticks. And cheese with fat in it makes for a yummier, tastier product. I will show you though, goat's milk is naturally homogenized, and it's harder to get a cream line. You can kind of see that there. It takes several days. I mean, it takes a lot longer. Typically, people who make butter out of goat's milk will use a cream separator, or they'll let it sit in the refrigerator for quite some time so that it will separate. I do also believe that different breeds of goats, just like cows, offer higher butter fat and thicker. So yes, all types of dairy animals will produce a fat cream line, because that's just part of the milk. But goat's milk is typically kind of naturally homogenized, and it makes it a little easier for people to digest. And that's why some people who cannot tolerate cow's milk at all can tolerate the goat's milk. So anyway, just like I was saying with like my jerseys, I get a nice thick heavy top cream. When maybe something like a Holstein, you'll get cream, but it's just not quite the same. And I believe goats are the same way. I have La Manchas. Those of you that have goats and you work with goat's milk, let me know if you agree or disagree. I would love to hear. All right, I'm going to get back to this, and then I'll come back to you when it's ready to do the next step. I have to show you something. We were just talking about the cream. So here is a jar that was really full, and I wanted to show you that, yes, you can get a thick cream from goat's milk. Absolutely, it can happen. It just doesn't happen as quickly as it will with cow's milk. Here is our 4 gallons of milk. So now that we have our milk in our pot, I'm going to take and I'm going to turn on the heat to about a medium high. And I need this to get to 76 degrees before we do anything else. So I'm going to get my trusty digital thermometer. I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to set it. I want to set it for 76 degrees. I have found the best way to kind of hold this in place is to take a lid and kind of have it cockeyed, kind of off kilter here. And then this can set, I put this at an angle and I put it in there and then I let it sit on the lid. And when it gets to 76 degrees, it's going to beep at me. So I can be washing up all these jars and doing all those things while this comes to temperature. So in addition to a stock pot, the size of the amount of cheese that you plan to make, I've got several different sizes that I use depending on what projects I'm doing. A thermometer, you'll need a thermometer. You'll need, I like to have a stainless steel slotted spoon. Slotted spoons work really well when mixing things in. You'll need some water. I have about 1/4 of a cup here. You'll need your starter culture, which we're going to talk about that right now. So I do not have the actual starter culture. I wasn't sure what that was when I was looking in my book for the recipe, and I was confused. And I thought, well, is it like a yogurt or something? You just need a starter that's made for soft cheeses. Well, the best thing that I could find at this time, I have thermophilic and mesophilic, but I wasn't really comfortable with that. But I have this Chev culture, and it says that it uses 1 packet will do 1 gallon of pasteurized milk. Typically, with most cultures that I've worked with, it will double when you do raw milk. So I think that has something to do with the lipase in there, and you can actually add calf lipase to your cheeses if you're worried about that. So because I'm making 4, I'm going to go ahead and use 2 of these packets of the Chev culture. And then I also need animal rennet, or you need rennet. You can get vegetable or animal, and it says 1 drop. So I'm going to use 2 drops for this whole batch, but I need to go ahead and add that into this water. So what I'm going to do, I think 2 drops is going to be close to, actually it might be closer to 3 drops, is 1/64 of a teaspoon. Yes, there is such a measurement. Let me share with you. This is what it looks like, friends. So I got this, I splurged and I treated myself to these. I really like them. They're unique measurements. 1/32, 1/64, 1/16, 3/16, and then all the way up to 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I use these mostly for cheese making, but they have come in handy for other recipes too. I purchased these from New England Cheesemaking Company or Amazon. That's where I get most everything. So it was one of those 2 places. I go back and reread because that's why I like books, like in your face, read it, book. You put in 1 drop of rennet for every 5 tablespoons. So I had to move this all the way up here to the 10 tablespoon mark. And so I'm glad I double checked that, because it would have made much more of a firmer curd set much quicker. I will tell you, however, goat curds are so much more fragile and smaller and just harder to work with than cow's milk curds will be. So I'm glad I read that, because we will not be using all of this in this. Okay, we have reached our temperature, so we can shut the stovetop off. We'll take off our lid. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of stir this real quick. Make sure everything is evenly heated and evenly the fat, and everything. So let's check the temperature now. We're there. Perfect. So we'll take our culture and we're going to sprinkle this on. It's just a dry, let's see if I can show you, just a dry powder. And remember, we are making like a quadruple batch, so we're going to go ahead and use 2 packets. I truly think that these measurements will be right, just because working with raw milk, it's different than working with pasteurized milk. Okay, I let that set just a second. I'll show you. So you can kind of see there is some places where it didn't quite go through. So I'm going to mix this up really well. I like to do an up and down motion always with my cheese and milk. That slotted spoon, it just seems like that really mixes things better. And when you put your cultures in, you don't have to be as careful or cautious as when you put rennet in. Rennet, when you put it in, you want to be slow and gentle. Okay, the recipe called for 1 tablespoon, so we're going to double it since we're making such a big batch. And so I'm going to try to stay at 2 to 3 tablespoons of this. And we're just about there. Yes, we are there. I used close to 3. I'm going to take a little of that off. And I'm going to just, in an up and down motion, very gentle, I'm going to move up and down. And I see there's some culture there that did not get mixed in. So I'm going to try to catch it and get it mixed in. But I don't want to mess with this and stir it too much. Oh, see, we're already getting a curd. So it's time for me to stop. Oh, there that culture is right there. Get that. Okay. Real quick like, not quick like, very slowly. I'm going to try to push that down, go in the center, pull straight up, put it on my pot. Oh, and this is very heavy. Whew, very, very heavy. So very cautiously. You wouldn't necessarily have to move it off the burner since the burner's off. It would keep it warm, but I'm actually finishing another project right over there. And so I've got a heat pad down here, a hot pad, and I'm going to move it over here. That'll help keep the warmth on the bottom. And then I've got myself a bath towel that I'm going to wrap completely around and give it a nice hug. And we're going to just tuck it in around the back here. Way any air conditioner vent or anything is kind of protected under here. And I'm going to let that sit all night. I believe it says 12 to 18 hours. Yes, cover and allow the milk to set for 12 to 18 hours. So I will see you all tomorrow. Hey friends, it's the next day and I have worked and I've tried to kind of rig up some drainage systems here because I have a feeling there will be a lot of whey come out of this. Oh yeah, you can definitely see whey already. And because I won't be home to check on this really often today, I wanted to set up a system. So let me show you what I have here. I may actually move it to a different counter, but for now, we'll just leave it here on the stove. For a typical, I think 1 gallon batch, they have you use maybe up to 4 of these. So I have these, and then I have an old salad spinner insert. So any extra that does not fit in these, I'll put in there. And then if I have to come up with something else, I will, because I will have more drainage. And what I've done is I've taken a big pan that will hold a lot of whey other than my little pans I typically use, because I want to have plenty of room in case I'm not here to catch any extra spills. Did not take you over here and show you we have a lot of whey. See all that yellow? That's whey. And see all this on top? That's whey. But underneath, this is our curds. And then we're going to move it over here into these until they are full. So this very much reminds me of the consistency of yogurt. This is many times what my yogurt will look like after I've let it set up. And a lot of whey is going to come off of this over the next 2 days. I've already gotten a lot of whey here, which I probably should find something. I think I will. I think I'm going to find something to pull some of this whey off of this. See what happens if I'm going to pour. Oh boy, this is so heavy, guys. Pour some of that liquid off there. I will need to strain through that some more because I did see some pieces of curds get in there, but at least this helps me not have so much weight all at once. I'll just fill these up. We're just gonna, from the weight of the curd, they're gonna continue to push down in. You'll get quite a bit in there. So now that you've kind of seen what I'm doing, we'll talk a little bit while I continue to work. So what you'll do is you'll fill as many containers as you need. I have a feeling I may even need more than what I have out here. And I'll probably just dig around and see if I can't find some other cheese molds. They suggest using, this is like ricotta molds. They suggest using something like that because they're made for, these soft cheeses. And then you're going to let this continue to drain for 2 days. And this is like 3 inches tall, I think. They said it'll condense down to about 1 inch. And so I will bring you along and I'll show you that whole process. But let me show you this already. So I will be dumping, look at all that whey already, and I haven't even filled all of them. So I'm sure I'll have to dump some of this whey off before I leave today and let it rest. I'll transfer this around and we'll get some of this whey off, but this is what I knew I would need, lots of place for this to drain. So this is it for today. I will see you in 2 days. Okay, friends, we have been at least 2 days, real close to that. My hours are getting kind of crazy right now, and I'm a little lost at where I am and what I'm doing anymore. But what I've done is I've, nice clean hands, of course, and I've got myself some plastic wrap, and we're going to plop this out. And let me go ahead and bring this to you a little closer. So it is definitely a soft cheese. So you can see I indented my finger there. Even though my hands are clean, I'm going to be wrapping this. So I wanted it to be that way. And you can see it's still very soft, but it's firm enough. So it almost reminds me of like maybe a cream cheese. And for fun, let's go ahead and we'll grab just one of these and see how much they are going to weigh. I'm going to guess about a half a pound. And I'm guessing right, 9.2 ounces. And of course, a little bit of that is going to be your plastic wrap. So what I'll do is we can absolutely eat this now. Actually, they suggested you could also salt it. So I think I want to get a little salt. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the just a tiny pinch of this cheese salt, because the pink Himalayan, as much as I absolutely love it, it will leave a little pink, and that can sometimes scare people off. And my family can be a little nervous about some of these projects and these things that I do. So I think since I have so many of them, I'm going to go ahead and just use the cheese salt. And I'm going to wrap this up, and we've got it nice and bundled. And I like to just use plastic wrap. You can put it in a container. You could do it however you want. But this is just I want it nice and tight. There is a little bit of an air pocket that I did let get in there, but try to squeeze that out. And then this can stay in the refrigerator. It can be eaten now, or you can put it into the refrigerator for like up to 2 weeks. So there it is, soft goat cheese. This is really good for spreading on breads and crackers and using as appetizers, or using it inside recipes, maybe some mashed potatoes, all kinds of things, sweet, savory. Get creative however you want. Guys, thank you so much for being here in this video today. I love it when you're with me. I love when we get to do things together. And I'll see you next time here on The Inquisitive Farm Wife.